what exactly makes a podcast grow? In every niche and on every topic, there are dozens, sometimes even hundreds of shows competing for a limited amount of listener attention. Many of these shows feature similar content, formats, and are hosted by people with similar levels of expertise. And yet, despite the similarities, there always seem to be 2 or 3 shows that rise to the top to dominate the consumption of the entire category. Beyond amassing the lion's share of the plays, these are the shows that rank highly in the charts and search results. They're the shows that get talked about and recommended by word of mouth, and they're able to attract better guests and collaboration partners. All of which creates a virtuous cycle that leads to even more discoverability, exposure, and growth. Oh, and they're also the shows that create the foundation to build a serious business on top of, either through client and customer acquisition, sponsorships, or both. In other words, it seriously pays to be one of these best-in-class shows. Which, of course, begs the all-important question: how do you become one of these shows? Take a look at any of the shows dominating their category or niche, and pretty quickly you'll see that many of these shows are hosted by celebrities. Others have the backing, budgets, teams, and distribution networks of major networks or brands, and of course, neither of these are things you can necessarily compete with. But there is another way. A way to create a show that commands attention, drives recommendations, and eats up market share in your space, all while doing less marketing. Best of all, it costs absolutely nothing but a little bit of creativity. The secret? Designing your show around a killer concept. In other words, packaging and presenting the core idea your show is built around in a way that listeners can't help but notice, become obsessed with, and share incessantly. A truly killer concept, the kind that stands out immediately from all other shows in your niche with a sharp, compelling hook, is inherently easy to market and amplifies the effectiveness of every hour and every dollar you put into marketing your show forever. A mediocre or generic concept, on the other hand, like most expert interviews, buddy chatcasts, and thought leadership style solo shows, for example, those set you up for a lifetime of slogging uphill, through mud, with a lead weight around your ankle, no less, when it comes to your marketing. In other words, not the fate most of us want to sign ourselves up for. In short, getting your concept right is the single most highly leveraged marketing activity you will ever do for your show. And yet, almost no one ever talks about it, let alone teaches you how to do it. This is where this show comes in. Killer Concept is a podcast dedicated to the dark art of making insanely marketable shows, which in the world of podcasting is pretty much the only thing that matters for growth. In every episode, we'll start with a boring, generic topic, and then, over the course of the episode, develop it into a must-listen show in its space. Along the way, you'll learn exactly what makes great concepts tick and how you can apply these principles to your own show to crank up your growth, make your show infinitely more attractive, and start seeing some real returns from your podcasting investment. The show is hosted and created by me, Jeremy Enns. I'm the founder of Podcast Marketing Academy, writer of the Scrappy Podcasting newsletter, and creator of the Podcast Marketing Trends Report. Oh, and I also host 2 other shows on podcast marketing, Roast My Podcast and Podcast Marketing Trends Explained. To confirm your suspicions, yes, I am most certainly a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Over the past 10 years, I've helped my clients develop killer concepts across dozens of categories and topics. Over the course of this show, I'll pull back the curtain on my process for developing must-listen shows in the categories of business, marketing, creativity, travel, parenting, politics, midlife and aging, society and culture, comedy, geography, and much, much more. No topic is off limits, and our only goal is this. In every episode, develop a show concept that is more interesting, more listenable, and more shareable than the existing shows in the space. You can find Killer Concept on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you consume podcasts. I'm glad to have you here, and with that said, let's get building.